2024 has been a great year for football. We've had the Euros, we've had Copa America, but now there's only one thing left to do. Build the 2024 Team of the Year. Basically, the best player from every position put together to make a combined 11. And this is only based on performances in 2024. Some positions were quite difficult to select, so for ones where I was really conflicted, I took other things into account, like whether their team was well represented. For example, Leverkusen and Real Madrid had really good seasons, so if I don't have many players from those teams, I might pick one of their players ahead of another one if I really can't decide. But yeah, with that being said, let's get started with the team, and the first thing I need to pick is the formation. I've gone for a slightly different one to what you might expect. 5 at the back, with 1 CDM, 1 attacking midfielder and 3 up front. It'll make more sense as I go through the team, starting with the goalkeeper. My choice is Aston Villa's Emiliano Martinez. I was thinking about Alisson, but he hasn't played too much this season. Gregor Kobel and Georgi Mamadashvili have both also performed, Donnarumma at PSG as well, but Martinez had the most impressive achievements out of these keepers. He was a key player for Aston Villa as they finished 4th in the Premier League, a really high finish for their standards, and he helped Argentina to win Copa America as probably the best goalkeeper in international football this summer. So while there were other decent goalkeepers, I don't think Martinez had too much competition for the goalkeeping spot. Next up, left back. Now, there weren't as many options for left back as there were for other positions. I was thinking about Theo Hernandez, Di Marco at Inter Milan, Alphonso Davies, even Nathan Ake, but in the end, I chose Alejandro Grimaldo. Remember, he's going to be playing as a left wing back because this is a 5 back, so he'll have the freedom to attack down that left hand side. He got really good numbers in 2024, 5 goals and 10 assists for Bayer Leverkusen. It's just a shame that he didn't start for Spain at the Euros, because if he had, he would be a really obvious choice for this team. I still think he was the best left back last year. Cucurella didn't really do that well for Chelsea, so overall, although there wasn't too much competition for the left back position this year, Grimaldo does deserve a place in this team. Now moving over to the right wing back position, and I've got Trent Alexander-Arnold. So far this season, Liverpool have been the best team in the world, and I think Trent is one of their best players. His passing range is second to none in world football, and honestly, so far this season, I think he's been one of the 3 best players in the world. I know a lot of people have criticised his defensive abilities, but remember, he'll be playing as a wing back with 3 world-class centre-backs behind him. He works in Liverpool's system with a 4-back, with Van Dijk at the back, and spoiler alert, Van Dijk's in my team. So I think Trent at right back will work fine, and his offensive capabilities are incredible. The crosses he'll be putting in will really boost this 11. Alexander-Arnold is a really special talent, and while other right backs like Carvajal did have really good years, I just couldn't justify leaving him out. And if you think about their performances over the year, yes, Carvajal did score crucial goals and play well in big matches, but Trent also scored decisive goals, like against Man City, some great free kicks as well. That's a good skill to have in your team. Trent just offers that something special going forward that no other player in world football gives you, and Carvajal has had a solid year with Real Madrid and Spain, but Trent Alexander-Arnold is a better player in my opinion. He might not have won the Champions League and he might not have scored goals in finals, but overall I think he played better throughout the year. There's a good chance that Trent's going to take Carvajal's spot in the Real Madrid team this summer, and here he's already taken his spot in the Team of the Year. Now onto the 3 centre-backs. I've gone for Antonio Rudiger, William Saliba and Virgil van Dijk. All 3 are tall, commanding centre-backs. Van Dijk and Saliba are calm, composed, really good on the ball, great at finding the right passing option out from the back. Rudiger is a more aggressive centre-back, really good at marking, tackling, winning headers, basically just being dominant in his own half. I think put together, these 3 centre-backs will be really hard to get past. They've got everything you would want from a centre-half, and this season all 3 of them have performed, with Van Dijk playing really well in a dominant Liverpool side, Rudiger helping Madrid win the Champions League, shutting down strikers like Kane and Haaland, and Saliba is the best defender in an Arsenal team that had a really good defensive record last season. I know a lot of people will be saying that Gabriel is better than Saliba, but I prefer Saliba's calmness to Gabriel's aggression. That's what Rudiger's there for. I think overall Saliba is a slightly better player because I think his decision making is better, but Gabriel is still a great shout, and I wouldn't be complaining if I saw him in anyone's team of the year. There were of course other great players for centre-back like Gvardiol and Diaz, even Bastonia into Milan, but I think my 3 choices were clearly the best. Moving swiftly on to the CDM position, and I've gone for Rodri. Now I know Rodri did get injured halfway through this year, but his performances in the first half alone mean he deserves to make this team. Rodri will give you consistent 8 out of 10 performances, he rarely puts a foot wrong, and no other player goes unbeaten for such huge lengths of time like Rodri does. No other player is so crucial to their teams. Manchester City Italy and Spain both like to dominate possession, and Rodri is the reason why they can do that. He holds the team together, and his positioning, passing and tackling skills are excellent. Last season, Rodri had one of the best ever years that we've seen from a defensive midfielder, and don't forget he won the Euros with Spain and the Premier League with Manchester City. Just look how badly Man City are doing without him. He has to be in this team. He even got a decent amount of goal contributions as well from defensive midfield, so despite the fact that he was injured for a large part of this year, Rodri has been by far the best defensive midfielder of 2024. Unfortunately, that same luxury could not be afforded for players like Kroos and De Bruyne, who weren't playing for the whole year. Kroos retired midway through, and De Bruyne has been inconsistent with injury problems. They did perform really well when they were at their best, but unfortunately there wasn't space for them in this team. For my second midfielder, I'm thinking of an attacking midfielder, and my two options I was debating between were Palmer and Musiala. Both have been consistently really good throughout 2024, but my choice was Palmer. He scored 15 goals with 7 assists in a struggling Chelsea side. I think people underestimate how difficult it is to perform when the players around you aren't performing as well. Chelsea finished 6th last season, but without Palmer, I think they would have finished a lot lower. He also played well for England despite limited appearances. His goal in the Euro final was really well taken, and he has performed extraordinarily well at club level throughout the year. His technique is great. He comes in with moments of magic for Chelsea. Palmer just doesn't really seem to feel pressure. If you look at his penalty record, that proves it. A lot of people have been saying that he doesn't do that well in big games, but clearly this guy can handle pressure, so I think the goals against the big teams will come. He's just about the best attacking midfielder in 2024. Other players like Musiala, Wirtz and Bellingham also did well, but Palmer is my choice. And now it's time to look at the forwards. My left wing was a really easy pick. Vinicius Jr. has been one of the best attacking players on the planet in 2024, with 33 goals in the calendar year, more than any other left winger. The only other potential candidate that comes to mind is Kylian Mbappe, but despite good form with PSG, he has struggled in comparison to Vini after moving to La Liga. I don't think Mbappe is quite at the level needed to get into this team. Neither of these players really performed internationally, which doesn't matter too much because the club season's a lot longer than one international tournament, and no other left winger really comes close, so Vini goes straight into the team. Next up, my right winger, and I've chosen Mo Salah. I think most people can agree that right now, Mo Salah is the best player in the Premier League and possibly the best player in the world. I know it hasn't been like that for the whole of 2024, but he's still been consistent. For the last 7 or 8 years, he has been one of the best players in the Premier League, and with Messi now playing in the MLS, not playing such a big role with Argentina, although he did still win the Copa America, I think Salah is now easily the best right winger in the world. He can score out of absolutely nothing, and he has got great quality in front of goal, makes really good runs, his decision making is fantastic, a very experienced winger who's been at the top for a long time. Mo Salah undoubtedly deserves a place in this team. Bukayo Saka deserves a mention as well. He's also really consistent, a key player for a really strong Arsenal team. Rodrigo is also not too far behind, played a big role in the Real Madrid side that won the Champions League last season, but this was quite an easy choice for me. Mo Salah is the best right winger in the world by far. And now let's move on to the final position, the striker. My choice is Harry Kane from Bayern Munich. Last season's Champions League top scorer, of course, Harry Kane is a fantastic finisher. He scores all kinds of goals, halfway line goals, bicees. If you saw recently, he recreated the Bundesliga logo with a great touch and then a header. It feels like Kane can score from basically any situation. Even when he wasn't at his best for England, he still scored 3 goals, making him the Euro top scorer. Harry Kane is absolutely world class, and he's been underrated for many years now. Now that he's left Tottenham, hopefully he can win a trophy with Bayern Munich, and at that point I think fans will start to realise just how good Kane is. Having said all that, Haaland actually outscored Kane in 2024, but there's a few key differences between these two players. Firstly, Haaland doesn't really show up that much in big games. In the Champions League, he was silenced by Rudiger when City crashed out to Real Madrid, and even in big Premier League games against teams like Arsenal and Liverpool, he tends to go quiet. He also gets quite a lot of easy chances, and a lot of his goals are from close range, whereas Kane seems to score from many different situations. But the big decisive factor in my opinion is how well they do when their support isn't the best. Last season, Bayern had a bit of a tough period and finished 3rd in the league behind Leverkusen and Stuttgart. Yet Harry Kane was still on top form, scoring loads of goals, the most in Europe actually. However, now that Man City is struggling, Haaland has kind of gone silent. Kane just seems to constantly score no matter what's going on, while Haaland seems to need some favourable circumstances to keep his form up. And I know there's a lot of skill involved in the movement, the positioning, the making of runs, all that sort of stuff, but Kane can do that too, and he contributes more in the build-up. Kane sometimes drops deep, his passing and hold-up play is really good, and I think he's just a little bit ahead of Haaland, even if he doesn't quite score as many goals. So he's my pick for the striker position. I did also consider Lautaro Martinez at Inter Milan. He won the Serie A and Copa America Golden Boot, but he hasn't been performing quite as well this season, and he didn't really play in enough big, tricky games in big competitions. Kane got to the Champions League semi-finals and played at the Euros, which, let's be honest, is a lot more competitive than Copa America, so unfortunately Martinez can't quite get into this team. Kane is my pick for the striker, and that's the whole team done. Let's just run through that team again. So in goal we've got Martinez from Aston Villa. At left wing back we've got Grimaldo, right wing back Trent Alexander-Arnold, playing incredible passes towards our forwards. Our back three of Van Dijk, Saliba and Rudiger is going to be very hard to get past. Rodri at CDM, Ballon d'Or winner and had an exceptional end to last season. As an attacking midfielder we've got Cole Palmer. He's going to be on penalties, maybe even free kicks, but Trent probably takes those. Left wing is Vinicius Jr, a bit of a no-brainer there. Harry Kane is up front and Mo Salah is on the right wing. Let me know in the comments if you agree with this team of the year. If you don't, maybe say which players I should have included, which players I shouldn't have included, and thanks for watching. Before we end, I'd just like to recommend that you subscribe to the channel. It's completely free and you can always unsubscribe later. But with that being said, thanks again for watching and I will see you later. Oh, and Happy New Year.